Shoot, they're all there. They're all there to see Andrew. Everybody's waiting for Andrew. Okay. I better not use that middle finger. That came out wrong. That came out wrong.
I'm Bob Arum, and I'm with the Fighter's Voice.
My name is Andre Ward.
Knocking out the competition.
Fighter's Voice!
The Fighter's Voice.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're live here on the Fighter's Voice, the only voice that matters. We got a great show lined up for you, ladies and gentlemen. We got with us the former WBA flyweight, super flyweight champion of the world. When I say former, he begs to differ when I say former. So does his rival, Joshua Franco, here in California. But nevertheless, the stage is Andrew's. It's his show tonight. Everything goes. Questions have been coming in. But I got to address Andrew and just thank him right now for taking the time out of his busy schedule. And I'm hearing he's back in the gym. He's ready to go. You know, enough said. I'm going to let him speak. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Andrew Moloney. Welcome to the show, Andrew.
G'day, Richard. Thanks for having me on, mate. It's a pleasure.
Hey, you know what? The pleasure's all ours. Because of you, our show is now global. We can say that the Fighter's Voice went global because of you, and we appreciate you joining us here on the Fighter's Voice.
That's good to hear, mate. There's certainly been a lot of noise around the last fight with Franco. So that's a good thing. It's obviously going to make our trilogy fight much, much bigger. So I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. You know, before I start talking about, your background in boxing, and we can do that. But, you know, when the flame is hot, I'm going to go with the flame. I don't want to put that flame out. So we're going to jump right into it. You know, as you know, going into the first fight with Joshua Franco, talk to us about that first fight and how you prepared yourself. And were you surprised on the way Joshua was able to neutralize your jab in that first fight?
Yeah, I mean, the first fight, I'll say I wasn't at my best. I think that was pretty clear. I had been training, but, you know, with the whole COVID situation, it wasn't a full training camp like I would have liked. We came over to America. I'd been doing a little bit of training, but as I mentioned, like we probably had a 6-week training camp, maybe 5 weeks of proper training, which obviously, you know, I don't think was enough. I wasn't at my best on the night, and some injuries in that fight caused me to not box at my best. So I was very determined for this second fight to show that I'm a much better fighter than I showed in that first fight, and trained extremely hard, had a very good training camp, and came over there to really do a job. And you could see in those first 2 rounds that I was a different fighter than I was in that first fight, and I'm looking forward to showing that again in our third fight.
You know, after that first fight, you know, our hearts went out to you, not because of the loss, because that's part of the sport, but because of the injury. Later on, it was stated that you did go to the hospital, you were checked out, and actually there was concern, there was some questions coming in, and, you know, a lot of the concern was, you know, I want to ask you, did you come back too soon? Were you cleared? And actually, I want to address, I got a question that came in. If you don't mind, I'll address it. This is from Charles Trimley from Fight Force. This is right to you. It says, first of all, commend him on his comeback, on his victory. And he wants to ask you, was your comeback too soon after the injuries suffered in the first fight with Franco? My question coming from a standpoint of a medical research in the field of TBI in boxing. Did he receive any caution from a physician in regards to the risk, any damage, and fighting too soon?
Yeah, no. I don't think it was too soon. There was 5 months in between the 2 fights. The injuries I sustained in the first fight were, you know, they've been out in the public. People know that I perforated both eardrums, had a slight fracture to my nose and a cut inside my mouth and one above my eye. but I don't feel like we went to the hospital that night and got checked out, and I got a MRI, CT scan, everything like that, and there was no injury to my brain. I didn't feel like I was heavily concussed or anything like that. So I felt like, my brain was okay. I wasn't putting it, any risk at getting back into training. I didn't spar for quite a few weeks afterwards. So I did the right things that I needed to do to, be cautious. But yeah, it was 5 months in between the two fights. I felt like that was more than enough time to heal up. And as you could see in that second fight, I was on fire. Those injuries weren't holding me back.
Well, to be honest with you, you look very well prepared. And I want to ask you, going into that second fight, what did you work on, without giving too much away, what did you try to neutralize this time? And what did you try to enforce that fight? Like, as if to say, I'm going to try this, and instead of backpedaling or instead of boxing, I'm going to kind of step up and take it to him. What did you see in that first fight that you knew that you could neutralize the second fight?
I was just really determined to come out there at the start of that fight and to show Franco that I'm better than that person he was in the ring with last time. I knew that he was going to be very confident and think that he could just come out and start where he finished the fight last time and just walk forward and try and break me down. But I was determined to go out there straight away and show him that that's not going to happen. That fighter you shared with the ring with last time is nowhere near the fighter I am, especially today. And I believe I did that. I made a few mistakes in the first fight. I was moving far too much because I had no balance and no strength in my legs from the perforating my eardrums. So it caused me to fight not really my style. So I was going out there, and one of the things was not moving as much.
Okay, thank you. Did you change anything in your camp? You still have the same trainers, the same team? Did you bring anybody in, or did you work on anything different?
No, same team. I've got a great team. We got great sparring for the rematch. But same team, same trainers, and we just worked on, improving as much as possible in between those two fights, and correcting some of the mistakes I made. And I believe we did a really good job of that. I felt like in those 5 months I improved more than any other time in my career, and really stepped things up to a new level.
Well, I don't want to speak for you, but I know what motivates you. I saw this picture on your page of you and this beautiful young man that you're holding in your arms, and we're actually going to put it on the screen there. Tell us about the different side of Moloney, the father side. Yeah,
that's right. My son, he's 16 months old, and he's my motivation. I've had to be away from him for 5 months this year to get that world title back and to, set up a future for him. It's been a big sacrifice. Unfortunately, I didn't get the result that we wanted, and I didn't come home with that world title, but some good came from that fight, and that is that everyone's now going to tune into this trilogy fight, and I will have the opportunity to get that world title back, and there's no way I'm going to be denied this time.
Well, I don't think you're going to be denied the opportunity, because I'm going to jump right in it. This is a message from Robert Garcia, who is the trainer of Joshua the Professor Frankel. He said it's simple. We'll see him in Australia for the third fight.
Oh, excellent. That's great. I think it's only fair that we have this third fight in Australia, especially the way the world is at the moment. Australia is getting back to normal, and we can have large crowds at sporting events. So we can pack out a stadium in Australia and put on this great fight. And I've come over to America twice now to take on Franco in his backyard. So I think it's only fair that we have this third fight in Australia.
There you go. And looking forward to that. We'll talk about that more as the show goes, because I'll start first thing Monday. I'm going to go get my passport, man. I'll make sure I got to make sure I'm tuned in for that fight.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this before we jump right back in, because I got a lot of questions that are there, and I don't want it to be top heavy. I want the viewers, the fans, and listeners to get a piece of Moloney. Now, I know that you're very close to your brother. Out of the two, Jason, who's the first one that wanted to jump into the sport of boxing?
Well, we first got interested in boxing because Santa Claus got us a pair of boxing gloves each one year, and we used to put them on in the living room and just beat the crap out of each other. And that's what first got us interested in boxing. But then it was actually his idea a few years later to go down to the local gym, and we're basically just using it to get fit for Australian rules football. That was our dream back then, was to play professional football. And yeah, it was his idea to go down to the gym and start boxing for fitness. And I said, yeah, that'd be a fun way to get fit. Yeah, let's go down. And we fell in love with the sport.
When you played football, what number did you wear?
So it's Australian rules football. It's I don't know if you've seen it, but it's a completely different game.
Oh, like
you'll have to look it up. It's called Australian rules football. It's like a cross between rugby. I don't know. It's a completely different sport. You'll have to look it up. That's the main sport in Australia. That's what every kid grows up playing, and it's that was our dream as a young kids to play AFL, which we call it. But yeah, we came across boxing and fell in love with that.
Now, after you suffered your first loss, what advice did your brother give to you?
Well, he'd been through the same thing. He lost his first attempt at a world title, a split decision to Emmanuel Rodriguez, and I saw how hungry that made him after that loss. He came home and, I could tell that had really lit a fire inside of him. And it's been over 2 years now since that loss, and that loss really forced him to improve as a fighter, and he's gone to a whole new level now since that fight. And, he said the same thing to me, that's what it's going to do. It's going to make me more hungry. And he was right. After that loss, I've been like a man on a mission, like a man possessed, just doing everything possible to get that world title back.
Now, let's dive in and let's talk about the rematch. Let's talk about getting ready to, from the weigh-in. Did you see anything different in Franco at all during the weigh-in? Did he hint? Did you see anything during the walk-in, anything at all that just put you over the hump mentally?
I was confident already because I'd had such a good training camp and been performing so well in sparring. But at the weigh-in, I felt like I could see he had done the weight pretty tough this time. He looked different this time compared to the first weigh-in we had. And yeah, he looked like he'd done it pretty tough.
No, that's very well said and respectful words. And both you guys looked shredded that night, to be honest with you. I mean, I knew it was going to be a good fight. And I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, no offense to Bud Crawford in the main event, but other people were posting, hey, I can't wait to see Bud Crawford, the main event. Are you watching the fight? My attention was, I was ready for that co-main event. I couldn't wait. I kept telling everybody I cannot wait till round 13 comes, because I mean, that was something that not just myself, but all of California, and I'm sure all of Australia was looking forward to that rematch. Unfortunately, it ended the way it did, and we're going to talk about that. But what I'm saying is you two, and I don't want to say little guys, you two big guys are a draw. And, being the headliner in Australia, that's really going to be something.
Yeah, that's right. And I had quite a lot of people say that to me, actually, that they were looking forward to our fight more than the main event. And I think this trilogy fight, the third fight, is just going to be even bigger now after everything that's happened. So, yeah, it makes it exciting.
It is, it's going to live up to the event. I know that's going to happen. I mean, we're talking about, Jeff Fennick and Azuma Nelson. I mean, when they were on there, and Azuma Nelson went across the pond and fought Fennick in Australia. I mean, it was just a sold-out area, and these guys, they came to fight.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had a few really big outdoor stadium events in Australia, and yeah, I don't know if you've seen Pacquiao, Jeff Horn, like they had like 60,000 people in a big outdoor arena, and we when we have these big fights, it's a really special event. So I look forward to being part of one.
You know, I know you got a good relationship with Bob Arum. What advice did he give to you? Did he talk to you after the fight? Did he assure you, hey, we're going to take care of this and you're going to get another opportunity?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, Bob's been really good. He was really angry that this decision wasn't overturned, but he said to me he's going to try and appeal that decision, but also that Franco does have one more fight with on his contract with Top Rank, and he said that he'll make sure that that's definitely against me, and we will have that trilogy fight next. So that was great. Great thing to hear. He told me that night after the fight, so that was good news for me. And then he talks about the possibility of doing it in Australia, because another thing is he said that they'd had talks with Teofimo Lopez about coming to Australia to fight George Kambosos, and possibly doing my fight on the same card as that, which would just be huge.
You know, that'll be great for boxing. You know, you should feel flattered. You should feel honored, honestly, because no offense, but Bob Arum got his pound for pound prize fighter getting ready to come out, getting ready to walk out, getting ready to make sure everything's okay. And he usually goes back there to make sure everything's okay. But his business was right there with you. He didn't leave your side. He didn't leave the monitor. He wanted to make sure that the decision went according to what he believed what needed to be done. And he never left your side. How does that make you feel, knowing that your promoter not only is your promoter, but just has your back from start to finish? How does that make you feel as a fighter? Yeah,
no, that's correct. Like that, it made me feel really special, and you know, I could really tell that Bob cares about me, which was massive. Like some of the people around said that, you know, they've been with Top Rank for years and they've never seen Bob so angry before. And that just shows that he cares about me, because if he didn't, then he would just be like, oh, the decision's the decision, and just let it go. But you're right, he stood there and argued his point, and even still now he's trying to fight the decision and get it overturned. So yeah, massive respect, and I really appreciate everything Bob's done for me.
You know, not just Bob Arum from Top Rank Boxing. You got a lot of support, and these are some kind words from a Hall of Famer, Lee Samuels. He said, we saw Andrew the day after the Franco fight, and we're at the Top Rank office, and I kept telling him to push away and what happened in the bout, and instead, you know, just focus on the rematch, focus on the trilogy. And he said you guys were fascinated, both you and your brother, with some of the action photos of Muhammad Ali that they had hanging up there.
Yeah, Lee Samuels is a great guy. He that was the first time I'd properly met him, and he showed us around the office and gave us a tour of the whole Top Rank office and all the photos and the history of the place. And yeah, he's a really great guy.
Yeah, very well said. And also Brad Goodman, matchmaker, he had these words to say. And I know the way Brad can get. I've called Brad when I shouldn't have called him, which is during fight week. And he just I thought it was a Scarface movie, to be honest with you, but that was my bad. And then he calls back later and he says, hey, do you like food? Let's get a steak later. So, I mean, but don't call during fight week. That I learned. He had these kind words to say about you. He said, I'm so proud to be involved with such wonderful people like himself and his brother, and his manager, trainer, Angelo and Tony, who are sensational people. And with the boys, you know, they'll get their title back if they get that opportunity again, that both boys, which is you and your brother, are well deserving, because you put so much into the sport. Both you and Jason, and let Jason know he'll get another crack at that title soon. And just a pleasure working with you guys. And he's saying, hopefully we go to Australia.
Oh, that's excellent. Thank you very much, Brad, if you tuned in. Really appreciate your kind words. And to tell you what, I'm not just saying this, everyone at Top Rank have treated us so well. Like, it's an amazing company, and yeah, full of great people. So we're very blessed to be signed to the best promotional company in the world.
You know, that's good when a fighter knows that they can count on their promotion team, that their company, for not only the support, but the personal backing. And, you know, not just that, but the whole world, they want to see it again. And, you know, what went on in there in that first round? Was there at all contact, from your words, Did your head and Joshua's head, Franco, did it make contact at all, according to your statement in the first round?
No, they didn't. And like I've had head clashes in fights before, and you feel when your heads come together. And at no stage did they come together with any sort of force, anything that could do that sort of damage to his eye. I remember the exact punch that did the damage. I threw the jab. I felt it land and seen it land on his eye. And then we stepped back from each other and instantly I saw his eye swell up. So I continued to try and target that eye. And I wasn't aware that the referee had even called a head clash until after the fight was finished. But no, in my mind, I'm 100% sure that was from a punch.
Did you see anything different in Franco after that jab you said that you landed? Did he react any differently?
If you watch it, we've got the footage. There's 1 minute 36 left, I think, in the round. And after the jab lands, he puts his right hand up. And for the next sort of like 15 seconds, he's trying to cover that eye. And then when he brings it down, that's when I seen the damage. And, if you look, you can see that's when the damage occurred.
I'm just glad Franco wants to do it again. I mean, there's a lot of fighters that they'll get that belt and they'll go unify. They'll go somewhere else. They'll go across the pond and say, I'm the champion. Later with this guy, business has been taken care of, not once, but twice. I'm just glad that Franco's the type of fighter that looks at himself in the mirror and says, you know what, let's give the world what we didn't give them in that second fight. His whole team, I'm not speaking for the team, but where they come from, those are the first words, let's do it again. And to hear those words, you don't got to go chasing anybody. It's just a matter of time. How does that make you feel knowing that Team Garcia, Team Franco, Team Meridian wants to do it again?
Yeah, that's great. And I respect him for that. I think the whole world wants to see this trilogy fight, and his team wants it, and so does mine. So it's going to be a great fight, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Let me correct something right now, because I know Rick Meridian is a personal friend of mine. I got the green light from Robert that he wants to see it again, and Franco wants to see it again. I'm not going to speak for Rick, because I'll get 5 text messages and 5 emails and saying, what the hell are you doing, and so forth. So I'll just clarify that, okay? That's all. That's fair.
All right. Well, Rick, the whole world wants it, so we've got to do it.
There you go. I'm sure Joshua's fans and his trainers and his people, they're either watching it right now or they're going to watch this. Do you have any words for his team? Do you have any words for Joshua Franco?
No, not at all. I've got nothing bad to say at all about their team.
I never said bad. Just any words.
Yeah. No, it's a bit. But yeah, no, respect. I look forward to the third fight. The fans are going to love it. I'm sure it's going to be a great fight. And I've come to America twice now, so I think it's only fair you guys come to Australia. We'll put on a huge event. It'll be shown live back in America and prime time. We'll do it on a Sunday afternoon in Australia, so all your fans can tune in. And it'll be a huge event. We'll have a big crowd, and we'll put on a great fight for everybody.
My gosh, Moloney, everybody that I talked to today, everybody that's sending me these questions, and I don't know if I'm going to get to all of them, had said, you know what, this kid is this class act, one of the nicest kids you'll ever meet, both him and his brother. And you just justify that because, I didn't say he had anything hard to say, just anything to say to him. He said, no, just that, hey, I want to do it again. And there you go. Because you know what? Boxing is a warrior sport. So is MMA. But also, don't forget, it's also a gentleman's sport.
Yeah, that's right. And these days, too many people think that you've got to talk trash to each other before the fight to try and sell the fight. And I don't think that's necessary. If you do the action in the ring and you put on a great fight, then true fans appreciate that. And myself, that's what I want to see is a good fight in the ring. I don't care what they say beforehand, and I think it's all corny half the time. It turns me off the fight, if anything. So I just let my actions do the talking in the ring.
There you go. I'll tell you somebody who's looking forward to this fight as well, and that's Sean Gibbons, who handles Manny Pacquiao, also handles German Cajas. He had these words. He said, for you. He said, please let him know that German Cajas is looking forward to Andrew getting, these are his words, to getting his belt back. And German would love to fight him in a unification fight in 2021. The IBF, the WBA, both titles on the line. Happy holidays and God bless both you and your family from Sean and his puppet Woody.
No, that's great. And yeah, look, absolutely. My focus is on Franco at the moment and winning that world title back. But absolutely, after I get my belt back, I'm definitely keen to unify the belts and Casters with Top Rank at the moment too as well. So I'm sure we can make that fight happen. So yeah, look forward to it.
This next question is from Bill Coddington in Madera, California, which is my city where I live in. He said, does he care to share on what was going on back and forth? You were trying to conduct an interview and there was some things that was being said back and forth. He said, not to light a fire anymore, but was there anything in particular that was being said during the heat of the moment?
Yeah, a few people have asked me about this and I've spoken on it a few times. It was just really Robert Garcia's son had a few things to say. Franco's brother had a couple of things and Franco's father, I think it was. But look, it was just heat of the moment.
We'll leave that. I didn't know you would ask that question, and that's not what I like to pull out of people. We can move on from that. I didn't know that was said.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, it was heat of the moment. It was nothing personal. We don't need to talk about it. It's all good.
Yeah. What I will say is Robert Garcia's Boxing Academy. They are a very proud camp. They were very proud individuals. And just as I'm sure your camp is in your training facilities. So again, I mean, I just can't wait for this trilogy to take place.
Yeah, and I've got to say, Robert Senior, he's his trainer. Robert Garcia, I've obviously know who he is. He's one of the most famous trainers in the world and trained many champions. He was all class. He didn't have anything negative to say. So, yeah, show my respect there. No,
very well said. Robert is, yeah. Very well. Hey, I can't top that. You said exactly what I needed to say. So let me ask you this. There is the common ground. Both you and your brother are in boxing, and both Joshua Franco and Bam Rodriguez are both in boxing. I think that you guys are going to be seeing each other, maybe often in your career, maybe more than you think. There's that possibility.
Yeah, I hadn't actually thought about that. Yeah, who knows? Maybe one day both the brothers will fight each other. Who knows? But yeah, we'll see.
Hey, I'm going to change it up a little bit. As you know, there's some boxing going on this Saturday, and a lot of people may agree with this fight. They're calling it the comeback fight. Some people are calling it not even real boxing, but nevertheless, the icon of the world. How can you not tune in to Iron Mike Tyson taking on one of the best that have lived up to that name whenever he laced up the gloves pound for pound, and Roy Jones Jr. What's your take on that fight, and will you be watching that?
Yeah, absolutely I'll be watching. Even though obviously they're both, well past their prime, it's still an exciting fight. Still two of the best to ever do it. And, yeah, I mean, if they can still, make some money out of this game that they dedicated their life to, then they deserve it. They deserve every cent they can get from boxing. So all the best to them. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to be tuning in because they're both very special fighters.
Exactly. And there's a particular fight on the undercard that make sure that you tune into this. This is one of our guys here in Sacramento, Blake the Beast McCurlin. He's taken Baloo Jack, two-division, two-time world champion. And for Blake, this is his big opportunity, man. I mean, he's going into a big opportunity, a big platform. Do you have any advice for him going into this fight?
Yeah, I didn't realize that fight was on. I haven't seen Blake before, but I'll definitely tune in. And he's obviously earned his opportunity, so I'm sure he knows what he's doing. And just enjoy the moment and give it everything you got.
I got to ask you this. I know you're a fan of the sweet science of boxing. Do you watch at all? Do you watch any MMA? And if so, who's your favorite fighter?
No, I'm purely a boxing fan. I do watch a little bit of MMA. I don't know many of the fighters, but a few Australians are starting to take over. And Alex Volkanovski, he's a world champion from Australia. Rob Whittaker is also an ex-champion, so I like watching those guys. Israel Adesanya, I really like him. And I'm a Conor McGregor fan. I love watching him too. We'll see if he comes back. So, yeah, I'll watch a little bit.
Well, I know Sean Gibbons is listening, tuning in, and Sean keeps hinting that Manny Pacquiao is going to put the gloves on with Conor McGregor. What's your take if that happens? And where do you see this fight developing, and where do you think it should be held at?
Yeah, I've heard rumors about that, and interesting. And, similar to what I said about, Tyson and Roy Jones, like both, Pacquiao and McGregor, they deserve any cent, all the money they can get out of the sport. It's the hardest, combat sports, the hardest sports in the world, and we deserve, every fighter deserves what they can get out of it. So another fight that I'd watch. Some people probably don't like seeing the crossover MMA versus boxing, but you'd still tune in and watch it. So it's interesting.
I mean, how could you not embrace that opportunity to share the ring with Manny Pacquiao? I had the pleasure of interviewing Manny Pacquiao, and it wasn't until on the way home when we were driving home that I didn't realize I didn't just interview the world champion. I interviewed the senator of the Philippines, and that's what just got me. I mean, that just, whoa. I mean, talk about a surreal moment.
Yeah, that's right. And what a career he's had. So, yeah, if he can make a ton of money fighting McGregor, then all the best to him.
Absolutely. I think the big names like the Tysons, the Jones, and the Manny Pacquiaos and the Floyd Mayweathers, they put so much into their career, and they've given so much to us, the fans, the viewers, and the followers, that they deserve that. They've earned that right to do so. And speaking of doing so, I'm hearing Floyd Mayweather is going back to Japan, China, hit up both of them and put on another exhibition.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard he's going back to Japan, but I haven't heard who he's fighting or anything like that. Have you heard?
I heard it's another small guy, is from what my people are telling me, and this guy is just kind of maybe half the weight as last time, but this time he promises to give everybody some more rounds. But again, it's not up to him. It's he went up there last time. If you watch the first fight, to put on a good show. His opponent landed that left hook, and once he landed that left hook, that's Floyd Mayweather. The light was on, and it was time to, okay, this is what you want to do. You know what I mean?
That's when it goes from an exhibition to a fight real quick.
Exactly. Let's talk about the. We talked about the outside part of Roy Jones and Mike Tyson. Let's talk about once that punch lands. Is a fighter capable of holding back in front of a massive crowd? Do you think these two guys are going to hold back, or do you think there's going to be punches and bunches?
Yeah. Well, I heard one of the things was that they're not supposed to knock each other out, or they're not allowed to knock it. But we're talking about two guys that.
How do you gauge that?
That's right.
Andrew, do you tell yourself, I'm going to hit this guy, but just enough to hurt him and stagger, but not knock him out? I mean, how do you gauge that?
Yeah. Well, I can't see that happening with Mike Tyson, that's for sure. So I don't know how they're going to do that. And like what you said with Floyd and his exhibition, like once a punch lands, if one of these guys starts to get on top of the other guy, the exhibition part's going to go out the door, and it's going to turn into a fight. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, that fight, I think I got up like 3 o'clock in the morning for that one, actually to hear my buddy ring announce, Ralph there. And I watched the fight, and Floyd came out like, okay, it's going to be an exhibition, real loose and real ready to have some fun. His opponent didn't know that and landed a left hook. That changed everything, and Floyd got him out of there.
Yeah, that's right. So I see probably the same thing happening in the Jones and Tyson fight. So yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Hey, I got to talk to you, man, about Tyson Fury, who in my opinion has to be the face of top-ranked boxing. And people would argue with me and say of just boxing in general. From your experience, your young experience of watching fighters, has anybody ever did it better than Tyson Fury, in your opinion?
he's certainly a showman. The way he comes to fight, and then he'll sing a song at the end of the night for everyone. He's certainly entertaining. And yeah, you got to give him credit for what he did in that Wilder rematch. That was unbelievable. When he was talking about coming forward and going for the knockout, I thought that was just all talk to get in Wilder's head, but he came out there and did it. So that was impressive.
Does a fighter see something that night? I mean, they may have you may have a strategy in line, and then all of a sudden you see something that just clicks or it's revealed to you. Do you attack that? Is that well said, or is it just you go in there and you try to figure them out?
No, well, I mean, you've got a game plan, but yeah, if you see something that you think's going to work, then you got to back yourself. You got to go in there confident that you can make adjustments, and that's what we train for. And that's what a good fighter can do. So, yeah, I think it's a bit of both. When do
you know a fighter is fearful of you? I mean, have you ever seen anything at the weigh-in? Have you ever seen anything at the press conference that just tells you, okay, this guy doesn't want to do this. This is what I'm going to do to this fighter? Yeah, I mean, you can see it a little bit at the weigh-in and things like that, but generally it's when you're in the ring. You can feel from somebody when they've had enough, or when you're breaking them down, or when they want to get out of there. It's not something you can just feel it. I think you have to have experienced it to know when a fighter really has had enough. Here's a question that came in earlier. They actually follow you. Are you a poll? I know it's very early, but they're going to ask, will you allow your son to box?
Yeah. Look, if that's what he wants to do, then of course I'm going to support him 100%. I'll definitely teach him how to box. I certainly won't force him into it or anything like that. It's got to be his decision. As a father, I'd probably rather not have to see him and watch him fight. But if that's what he wants to do, then yeah, I'll support him 100%.
Now, you come down to the States, for business, for boxing. You ever plan on coming down and just take some leisure time, like maybe visit Disneyland, or, maybe go to New York City, or, just somewhere around here in the United States?
Yeah, I do want a holiday in America. I have never been to New York before, so I'd love to check New York out. I've been to Vegas a couple of times, and LA, just sort of training and sort of half holiday. So it's a great place. I really enjoy my time in America. I feel like Vegas is sort of like our second home now. I've spent almost as much time in Vegas this year as I have at home. So yeah, I really like it.
How did you adapt to being in the bubble, to being restricted?
Yeah, the first time it was, you're figuring it out, and, we went in there really not too sure what to expect. And each time we went in, I went in there like 4 times. We went in there for my brother's 2 fights and my 2 fights. We also went in to watch Teofimo fight Lowenchenko. And each time you go in, you're more prepared. So like for my second fight with Franco, like we bring all our food with us and everything like that. So we were really prepared that time.
And not only this third time, both of you guys are going to be able to walk in with a live crowd and be able to make that ring walk the way it's supposed to be conducted. And that's a big part. I mean, us as fans, we look forward to that ring walk. And that's a chance for you to say, all the work is done. Now it's time to display what we do and what we love to do.
Yeah, that's right. And like, I had no problem fighting without a crowd. Like, it was still great. I still knew that there were so many people watching on TV, but I'm definitely looking forward to getting back into fighting with a live crowd, and just bringing that atmosphere. I've missed it this year.
Now, being that said, I know you got kind of emotional, and after the fight, which is a lot of people would in the situation that you were in. How do you continue to block all that out and to say, you know what, okay, let's do it all over again? How do you find that extra volume of energy to have faith in yourself to say, okay, we didn't get it right this time. This one was out of my hands, or let's do it again, to get that energy and that motivation?
Yeah, I mean, it was tough, especially the first few days, and then coming home to Australia without that belt, because I'd looked forward to that for so long and envisioned coming home with that world title belt. So it was rough coming home without it when I felt like I did deserve it. But now it's just giving me more motivation again to prepare as best I can, and come to this third fight in the best shape of my life, and to make sure that I dominate this fight and get that world title back. So I'm in hotel quarantine at the moment in Australia, and I've already started training in the hotel room, getting ready for this third fight. So I'm going to be more than ready.
This question is coming in from Las Vegas. It's Manny Metz, who's a photographer for Roy Jones. He's asking, in your opinion, why did that decision take so long? I mean, it was actually 26 minutes. It was like 30 minutes. What couldn't they find, or what couldn't they see, or in your opinion, what was going on during that time?
Well, I got no idea why it took so long, because the referee thought he'd seen something in the first round, so it's only 3 minutes of footage that they need to look over. But in my opinion, they were looking for a head clash, which they couldn't find. So they kept looking over and over and over, and they didn't find a head clash. So I'm not sure why the decision didn't get overturned, but that's my opinion.
Now, there was I read that your team is trying to maybe try to get that overturned due to a statement that was made by a certain person of power. Is this something that you're going to continue to run through, or are you going to sit back and say, okay, let's get this trilogy done and let's move on to business?
Yeah, so that's.
I know it's a personal question, but these are the questions that are coming in.
No, that's fine. I don't mind answering anything. But yeah, look, my team, Bob Arum, organised to get a lawyer to appeal our case with the Nevada Commission, and that's in the process at the moment. And whether the decision gets overturned or not, either way, even if I do, I am awarded the decision and become champion again, I still want to have that third fight with Joshua Franco, just to clear any doubt that I am the deserving champion. And as we touched on, the fans want to see it again, so I'm definitely keen for it. I
think that's a very, very valid and a classy statement. As Joshua Franco said the same thing. I do want this third fight, in the position that he's in, without saying I'm going to go to A or B. And that's something, again, I mean, that people are looking forward to. And, the fight just ended, a couple weeks back, and a week ago, and people are ready. They want it to happen today. They don't understand that you guys need to rest. You guys need to get everything signed, sealed, and delivered, and confirmed. And the powers that be, they need to get together. And I think it's an easy fight to make. Yeah. Hopefully it's easy to make. I think both teams want it, so it should be easy. We obviously, myself, my team, and Bob and Top Rank want to do it in Australia, so hopefully their team is keen on that too. There you go. Okay, here we go. This is coming in from SHELLY HOLLIS. He said, well, when you come back to the States, man, look at Richard's hat, which is my hat, my Dodger hat. He said, you got to come to an LA Dodger game, and since they're the world champs, you got to come by and visit one of their games. Yeah, absolutely. I've never been to a game before, so definitely keen. Now, I want to ask you this. What fighters in the States have inspired you, and what fighters in your country have inspired you to do what you do, if any have? Yeah, definitely. I'll start off with my country. Danny Green was a fighter that I grew up watching, and he's the one that got myself and my twin brother into following professional boxing, and really the one that got us interested in the sport. And so, yeah, he definitely sort of lit the fire inside of us. And then in America, I mean, these days, I think Canelo is probably my favorite fighter. I love Mexican fighters. All my favorite fighters, in the history of boxing are all Mexican fighters. Ricardo Lopez, Juan Manuel Marquez, Barrera. I love Barrera. Chavez Senior, he's probably my all-time favorite. So I love the Mexican style. I like two that I just got to name, man. Mikey Garcia and Jose Ramirez. I got to have two. I got to have those two in there, man.
Yeah, both great fighters. Yep.
Yeah, I went to go do a story at we did a podcast at one time at Robert Garcia's Boxing Academy, which was a privilege and honor just to be there, and they accepted us as their own. And whatever happens in the gym stays in the gym, and in that gym, iron sharpens iron. When you got two great athletes or champions, one champion or another will step up and share the ring with the other champion to get him ready for his event. And there was one particular time, I'll just tell you a quick story. I don't know how this came here, but two great champions shared the ring. And you know what I said? I said, forget the story. I was like a kid in a candy store. I'm just watching that exhibition, man, just the sparring match. And, it takes a lot to say that, man. I mean, the Mexican style, they do have their own style is, they bring it. They got a forward in pressure, and they like punches in bunches. If they were in MMA, they would not be grappling. They'd just stand in there in the middle and go toe-to-toe. Yeah,
that's right. And I've actually been to Robert Garcia's gym quite a few years ago. And, yeah, they treated us really well, really respectful. And we went in there and we sparred with Gradovich originally and a few of his sparring partners. And then we came back that same afternoon and sparred with Lowenchenko. So it was a great experience quite a few years ago now.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you, because he said he came to LA to train. I was going to ask you what gyms did you stop by. Did you ever at all stop by Freddie Roach's gym, Wildcard at all?
Yeah, so we trained at Wildcard, Robert Garcia's gym, and Legends gym with Manny Robles. And, all great gyms.
See, those are career moves that you make there. Come all the way down from Australia to get the training and the sparring that maybe your country may not offer at that time or that moment. I mean, just to be, keep it clear in black and white. A lot of people make that transition and come down to California and visit the gyms that you visited. So that means that you are serious about your career, and you do want to test your skills and learn from your mistakes, because mistakes bring perfection.
Yeah, absolutely. We give this sport absolutely everything, and you only get one chance at it. You only get one career, so we give it everything we got, and we do everything we can to get better. And we've been to America quite a few times now for training camps early on in our professional career, and now we obviously come over and get great sparring before all our fights. I came over before the Franco fight 6 weeks beforehand to make sure I got some great sparring in before the fight, and America is a great place for boxing.
Thank you. This question is coming in right here. What does it say? It says, okay. What was it like sharing the ring with Lowenchenko?
Yeah, crazy. He is unbelievable. And once you've been in the ring with him, you can sort of understand how these fighters feel when they're in with him and how they get frustrated. Like those 4 fights in a row, I think it was, that the fighters just basically quit and said they'd had enough. You can understand once you've been in with him how they were feeling, because he just feels like he's a step ahead of you at all times and just knows what you're going to do. He's an unbelievable fighter.
That goes hand in hand with my next question. Why do you think Teofimo Lopez had the answer, had the antidote to neutralize and befuddle, at that time, the Matrix, the pound for pound, arguably the best in the world?
It was an unbelievable performance, and Teofimo is obviously a very special fighter himself. Very fast, very explosive, very powerful. We were in the venue that night, quite close to the ring, and every time Teofimo landed a punch, whether it landed clean or if it hit the body or the arms, shoulders, you could hear the thud in those punches. And he's a very big, powerful dude for 135 pound, and I think he was too big for Lowenchenko and too strong.
I believe you're right. I believe that he lived up to the moment and imposed his will and neutralized him with that jab and the body. And I think that when Lowenchenko did put the green light on to go forward, by then he was already 6 rounds under. And you don't want to give a fighter momentum, as you know.
Yeah, that's right. And got to give Teofimo credit as well. His boxing IQ that night and the way he controlled the ring was very impressive. But yeah, I think it was his power that that landed early that had Lowenchenko a little bit worried and hesitating. And yeah, he basically started that fight 6 or 7 rounds behind. So you just can't afford to do that, obviously, in a 12-round fight.
Listen, I'm going to put the promoter's hat on you, okay? Who does Teofimo fight next? If you can find 2 fighters, what's your next 2 fights for him?
Well, for me, I want him to fight George Kambosos in Australia so we can put on this massive fight card with myself and Joshua Franco. But if I'm a promoter and not thinking about myself here, then I think Teofimo should stay at 135 because the fight with Gervonta Davis, Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, even Jorge Linares, it's a stacked division. I'd love to see him stay at 135 and have those massive fights before. But I know there's a temptation there to go up to 140 and possibly fight the winner of Josh Taylor, Jose Ramirez, which again would be very special if he won that fight and became a 2-time undisputed champion at like 24 years old. That's crazy. That's unbelievable. So I can see why that interests him as well. But from a fan's point of view, I'd like to see him stay at 135.
Who do you have controlling that fight with Jose Ramirez and Taylor? How do you see that fight going down?
Well, I know Jose Ramirez is your boy, but I'm sorry. I think Josh Taylor just wins that fight. It's a close fight.
I want to hear an honest answer. Let's hear it.
I think it's definitely a close fight, but I think Josh Taylor has got the edge. I think he just brings a little bit more to the table.
What factors? What's going to be the deciding factor? Is it going to be he's able to neutralize Jose's body attack? Is he going to impose his strength on Jose? Or how do you see that fight? What makes you think he's going to be victorious? What is he going to be successful at?
I think Josh Taylor will probably keep it out long and try and outbox Jose Ramirez. But he also is very good in close as well. He's a very good fighter, Josh Taylor. I've seen him for many years now, back in the amateur days, and he's very good in close as well as out long. But I think his game plan against Jose Ramirez would probably be to outbox him at long distance and not give Ramirez that chance to get in close and try and put the pressure on him.
That's a big fight, a huge fight for Top Rank to make. 2 undefeated professionals in their prime, both got their countries backing them up and supporting them. And look what you and Franco just did. I didn't say you neutralized it, but you are also a big fight that needs to happen. Had it ended that way right there, we'd be talking about the trilogy. But what's the reality of that happening? Now, because of the outcome, because of this, I'm trying to say, look at the brighter side, Moloney, is what I'm saying. This fight is going to be an event that you could only have dreamed of as a child, that the masses are going to show up. Everybody that knows boxing, people from PVC, from Golden Boy, and from you name it, all across the world, global, is going to tune in to this fight. Yeah,
that's definitely the bright side. I was obviously devastated after the fight that the outcome didn't go the way I believe it should have, but it definitely makes this third fight 10 times bigger and brings a lot of interest from all the fans around the world. So I'm excited now to be in such a big event with a lot of hype around it and a huge audience. So I'm really looking forward to that third fight, and yeah, it's going to be an honor to be a part of it.
And not only that, I mean, Top Rank, they have, of course, with Tyson Fury, any fight Tyson Fury is involved in, it is a big fight. And again, I think you touched on it, man. To be affiliated, to be around one of the strongest companies in the world who has the top fighters. I mean, there's a lot that can take place when you got a unified champion at 135. You're about to have one at 140, and there's just a 5-pound difference. I mean, there's so many opportunities for Top Rank in these fighters nowadays.
Yeah, Top Rank is really killing it at the moment. I think they got about 7 out of the top 10 pound-for-pound fighters are with Top Rank, I believe. So very good place for me to be, and obviously some huge opportunities to fight on some really big platforms like I just did in the last fight, on the to be on a Terence Crawford, co-featured to Terence Crawford, there was obviously a lot of people tuned in to watch that fight, which helped make, create this interest around my fight with Franco. So yeah, I'm just really lucky to be and grateful to be signed with Top Rank.
Also, yeah, exactly. And he also, you got Jamal Herring. I mean, he's right there. He's getting ready to get it on with Frampton. And whenever they name the date, that's getting ready to happen. And there's a lot of fights that really make sense. But this is one that's still hot as we speak, and it's hot in the kettle. And it's a must. The fans want it. You want it. Franco wants it. It's just a matter of time before it's announced. Any particular time frame you're looking at, or anything that was hinted to you at all, or just whenever it's revealed, you're willing to accept and go for it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm ready. Obviously, I could fight right now. I got no injuries. It was only 2 rounds the other night. Franco's eye probably needs to heal from that fight, but the date we're looking at is early next year, possibly April. So yeah, that's what I've got in my mind at the moment, and I'm starting to prepare for that already.
Well, that gives me time to save up, man. I mean, because hotels, airport, that's not going to be cheap, man. And getting I got to make sure I get across there and get to come back, man, or I'll be kicking back with the kangaroos and sleeping with people up or having some cold ones later, or eat some tacos with Franco. One of the two, man.
Yeah, that's right.
I say tacos with Franco because his dad the other day was making some homemade tacos. Oh my gosh, this dude! Do you like Mexican food, first of all?
Yeah, I do actually. Mexican food is probably my favorite food. I love tacos.
Then you already know. Well, because anyways, Josh's dad got down. When a Mexican says my pops got down or we got down on the food, trust me, it's that and a bag of chips, man. And there's nothing like homemade carne asada, bro. And we'll get some to you, man, and some tortillas too, and we'll get you some Spanish before you know it.
Sounds good. If you come down to Australia, we'll have to have a good Mexican feed after the fight.
There you go, man. Don't be surprised if you see me there. You're on both you guys there, because that'll be a good fight, intriguing fight, and one that I'm looking forward to. And definitely once it's announced, I know during fight week I won't go after you because I already know the way Brad Goodman is, man. But we definitely got to bring you back on the show, man. I appreciate you accepting to come on the show, and you've been a class act like everybody said you would be, and had nothing but kind words to say. And both yourself and your team has handled yourselves as true professionals.
No, thanks, Richard. Appreciate it, mate, and thanks for having me on your show. It's been good.
How do we follow you? How do we stay in touch with Andrew Moloney?
Yeah, follow me on all social media platforms at Andrew Moloney. Moloney spelled Moloney. So yeah, appreciate everyone's support and follow the journey. Anything else for the fans and the followers that watch and support you? Thank you to everyone from around the world for the amount of support I've received since the Franco fight. I've had like thousands of messages over these last 2 weeks, just saying to me to keep my head up and that I'm the true champion and they enjoyed the fight. So thank you everyone for your support, and make sure you tune into the trilogy because it's gonna be a ripper. Hey, man, I appreciate your time, man. And remember, every fighter has a voice, and so do you. Don't forget to subscribe, www.youtube.com/thefightersvoice. Every fighter has a voice, and so do you. It's a wrap with the former WBA super flyweight champion of the world, Mr. Andrew Moloney. It's a pleasure, and I'm going to send you the link after the show, man. I appreciate you sharing.
Until next week.
Remember, we'll talk soon, and I'll be sending you over a Fighter's Voice T-shirt, man, and you can rock that proudly. It looks something like this, so I'll make sure. Awesome, mate. Yeah, thank you. Hey, it's a wrap. Thumbs up for Richie.
Remember, it's always voiceography at its finest. So on behalf of Richard Ortiz, Cole Escovedo, the special guests, and all the crew right here at the Kick-Ass Podcast, saying hasta luego, babies. And always, thanks for listening.